Hey guys, it's Andrew from Deal Finders Club, and I've got to take a couple minutes to give you a video here response because this was a really interesting question in our Facebook group. If you're not in the Facebook group, go to Facebook, go to the REI Deal Finders group, or you can do Deal Finders Nation, where we help connect investors, help investors learn, and build businesses. So here's a little bit of that education piece where I'd like to just kind of talk through this question from the beginner's perspective, and then we'll go a little bit deeper into, as you're building your wealth, growing your business, where that might put you. So the question really at hand is, do I need an LLC for each individual property? And the next part of that question was, now do I need a bank account for each individual LLC, thus bank account for each individual property? So I'm not an attorney. I'm not your attorney. I'm not a CPA, nor you're a CPA. We have those that we pay for. Let me just say, talk to the professionals, y'all, okay? But let me give you a little bit of experience from what we've done over the last 17 years of investing that might help you connect the dots as to where you are today, and so you can talk to your attorney or CPA and ask some questions, all right? So as a beginner, brand new out the gate, getting started in investing, you probably heard about LLCs and, you've got to get an LLC and every property needs a new LLC and make it some crazy name or whatever. And y'all, there's some very good reasons for this. So let me touch on the reasons for the LLC, and then we'll move on to maybe like how to get started there. So the reason for the LLC mostly is asset protection. What does that mean? Well, the LLC is an entity. It's identified by the federal government. It pays taxes. That entity owns the property. If there's an issue, if there's a lawsuit at that property or a lawsuit to you, if you have properly set your entity up, the property, the LLC, is separate from who you are. You're an entity and it's an entity. Think about just you and the guy next door, right? If you get sued, the person suing you can't get the guy next door's house. That's the difference between an LLC and yourself, okay? That's the point. Now, here's where you mess up, you beginners, and not to say you, I know I've done probably some of this stuff, especially in the beginning, where it's the LLC, if you are not completely separate, there's no point. If your money, if you rent that house out and the money goes into your checking account, that's no longer an LLC protection. You would be just one entity. If your money is flowing back and forth, you're just one entity, and it doesn't help you. The asset protection doesn't help, and furthermore, it's probably more expensive because every LLC you're going to have to do a tax return on that, right? And so when you get a CPA or tax attorney or a bookkeeper, everything, all those are just fees per entity, right? So now, if you're making $150 a month on just rental property, well, if you're paying $300-400 a year just to do the taxes, you can imagine your profits go away really, really fast. Okay, so that LLC and you have to be separate. So that's number one. Just make sure you do that completely separate. Okay. The second part of that is, do I need one per property? Well, let's just think about this. You're protecting the asset, and what sometimes I have to, so I talk to people in our community, a lot of times it's understanding what is an asset. Well, the asset is the value minus the liabilities, right? So if that property value is, say, $200,000, right? $200,000 property value, and you have it mortgaged because you did the BRRRR or something like that. You put 20% down to buy it. Well, if you have a mortgage of, say, 80%, which 80% of 200 is 160. You don't have $200,000 of assets in that LLC. You just have the equity, which is $40,000. Now I might be getting over your head with this math and all this. Write it down if you have to. This really isn't meant to be a class in math, but just to explain what you're really looking at is now that LLC is costing you money every year, every month to maintain, but you're only really protecting like $40,000 of assets. Now, that's not a small chunk of money, But in the grand scheme of things, if you're going to do one of those for every piece of property, you got $40,000 of assets that you're now paying to protect. Why not put a couple of houses in there, right? Because each property is going to have an insurance policy also designed to protect your assets. So you're actually paying extra and going through the extra management headache. In the more of these LLCs you have, one per property, the higher likelihood of you messing up and the money going in the wrong account. And once you do it one time, now it's like you and your neighbor are sharing bank accounts, right? You don't do that unless you are one. If you do it once, now you are one, the LLC is no longer protecting any assets between you and it. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah, if you have more questions on this, I'd love to help you understand that and kind of show you how we do it. We do have some courses, some classes that we are doing. We have a 2-day workshop in Columbia. We also have an online learning center where we go through some of this stuff. So let me know if you need that. Shoot me a message. I'd love to direct you there. But going further, when you're getting started, you need an LLC, okay? You have to have one, and you need to have a bank account solely identified for that LLC. Keep your stuff separate. As you grow and grow and grow, identify, how much, what's the asset value? What do you want to protect in each LLC? If you're paying all cash for a $200,000 property, yeah, maybe each LLC has its own property because it's got $200,000 worth of assets that it's protecting and holding on to. Evaluate your insurance policies. Talk to your insurance provider. Make sure you're covering those assets through that vehicle as well. Maybe an umbrella policy to protect you and the assets, okay? And when this is the big piece at the end of all this, my experience share would be if you have multiple properties, just get a property management company to manage them, and then you're not really going through the headache of dealing and keeping books in 5 different, or whatever, this was 5, but however many LLC bank accounts. If every month your property manager takes care of the rent and the expenses and they just give you a deposit, way easier to manage per LLC that way versus you running the entire rental business of each property through that bank account. I hope that makes sense. If you're a beginner, a lot of this is over your head, and as the beginner, just here's what you do. You get an LLC and you get a bank account, and that's it. As you keep growing and scaling, things will get more, you'll get bigger, broader problems, which is great. Talk to your attorney, talk to your CPAs, and understand that ultimately you're having bigger, broader problems because you're in a game. You're in the investing business. You're building wealth. You are doing things that most people don't do. So having this issue, having this conversation is a wonderful place to be. Just talk to the professionals. Let them help you, all right? Dealfindersclub.com. We have a lot of resources there. I hope this is helpful. I hope this kind of spurs the conversation to make sure that you are thinking about it the right way. Connect with your professionals as well. And we will see you at our next event. Check it out, dealfindersclub.com/events, and you can see everything there. Look forward to it. If you have questions, shoot me a message. Facebook message is great. I can respond there. Comment here or wherever you're watching this video. That will be fine too. Until then, I'll see you later. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the REI Deal Finders podcast. You can find out more and apply to be a part of the REI Deal Finder community at reidealfinders.club.